God have mercy upon you. Mr. Bates, Mr. Pike into the house.
Can I please have my mom before I go?
Mr. Bates, please hold Miss Pike in the dock.
Please, let me just love my mom.
Please hold Miss Pike in the dock.
I love you. I love you too.
The morning of Friday the 13th, police recovered Slemmer's tortured body behind the abandoned steam plant at the University of Tennessee. Within one day, they arrested Job Corps students Shadola Peterson, Tadaryl Shipp, and Christa Pike.
She was the ringleader out of the bunch.
Pike and Shipp were in a relationship with each other and the occult, and recruited other Job Corps students to Satanism. Pike targeted Slemmer after the two had a run-in at school. The trio led Colleen where nobody could hear them, and then watched Christa Pike torture her for 45 minutes before finally killing her.
What makes an 18-year-old girl carve a pentagram into another girl's skin? What turns ordinary jealousy into something ritualistic, and cruelty into a form of control? It was January 12th, 1995, in Knoxville, Tennessee. Two girls walked together through the darkness near the old steam plant at the University of Tennessee, in the company of two other teens, both of them young, both of them drifting, both of them searching for something they would never find. Christa Pike told her classmate, Colleen Slemmer, that they just needed to talk, that this walk was a chance to clear the air. But this wasn't a walk meant for peace. This was a walk built on revenge. Before long, whatever started as nervous laughter faded into terrified screams. And by the next morning, one girl would be lying dead in the woods, while the other bragged about what she had done. The motive was jealousy. The outcome became one of the most disturbing murders in Tennessee history, a crime that would make Christa Pike the youngest woman ever sentenced to death in the United States. On a cool September morning in 2026, deep inside Tennessee's Riverbend Maximum Security Institution, a door will open, and a woman who has been locked away for nearly 3 decades will take her final walk. Her story is one of brutality, fear, manipulation, and a lifetime of trauma that started long before she ever stepped onto the grounds of the Knoxville Job Corps Center. It's a case that has haunted families, baffled experts, and raised questions that still echo today. How young is too young for a death sentence? Where does personal responsibility end and lifelong trauma begin? And what does justice look like when every life involved has been shattered? This is the story of the murder of Colleen Slemmer, and of the only woman on Tennessee's death row. You're watching True Crime Briefing. But to understand how we got here, to understand why the state has held firm for nearly 30 years, we must go back to the beginning, before the appeals, before the prison incidents, before the headlines, back to the converted former Holiday Inn in Knoxville, back to the Job Corps Center, back to 1995. Because everything that happens in September of 2026 began with what unfolded there. Before we move on, what do you think? Should someone who was barely 18 at the time of a crime be eligible for the death penalty? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. There's no right or wrong answer, just your perspective.
As she was slashing her, she was still saying, let me go, I'll go home, I won't tell nobody. Then they hacked and cut and slashed.
Authorities say she was then beaten over the head with a large chunk of asphalt from this pile.
There was 2 pentagrams carved on her body, one on her forehead and then the main one here.
York says the interrogation of Pike was as chilling as the crime.
During the interview, she's very giddy, laughed, very cooperative. She wanted to tell us all about it, but she was giddy. It was a happy thing for her. It was the greatest thing ever, and I've never seen anybody else like that, like her, actually.
Not only did prosecutors have a cheerful confession, police found a keepsake from the killing.
I do. I know I don't deserve to be out walking around with everybody else in normal society. I did something horrible that is unacceptable, and I realize that. But I don't deserve to die for the actions of 3 individuals.
She had a piece of the skull wrapped up in a napkin in her coat pocket. That's a trophy. It showed that that piece she had fit exactly as a piece of puzzle.
After bouncing between foster care, detention centers, and unstable homes, Christa earned her GED at a juvenile facility. For a moment, it looked like life might turn a corner. She enrolled in Job Corps, hoping to become a nursing assistant. But the Knoxville center she entered in late 1994 was not a place of rehabilitation. It was a place simmering with gang activity, drugs, and violence. And it was there that she met 17-year-old Tatteril Shipp, a violent, gang-involved teen with a reputation for intimidation. Shipp enjoyed provoking fear. To him, control was currency. And Christa, traumatized, isolated, desperate for affection, was the perfect target. Within weeks, they were inseparable. And within weeks, he was already controlling her. Nearby, another young woman was building a very different kind of life. 19-year-old Colleen Slemmer from Florida. Bright, hopeful, disciplined. She had come to Job Corps to study computer technology and build a real future. She stayed away from trouble. She stayed away from Christa and Shipp. But Christa noticed her, envied her, feared she might take Shipp away. That fear consumed her. Viewers, let me ask you something. Can a person shaped almost entirely by trauma ever truly see danger clearly? Or love clearly? Hold on to that question. It will matter later. If you're still with me, take a moment to like this video so more people can learn about these forgotten cases. And let me know in the comments, do you think trauma can fully explain violent behavior? Or is there a point where a person still bears full responsibility? Your thoughts matter. Christa began telling people she planned to kill Colleen. Most didn't take her seriously. But on the night of January 12th, Christa put her plan into action. She approached Colleen with a smile and a lie, offering marijuana, offering peace, offering a chance to talk things out. Colleen agreed. Christa, Shipp, Colleen, and another student, Shadala Peterson, signed out together. Witnesses watched them leave. They walked nearly an hour into the woods behind the University of Tennessee's agricultural campus, a secluded area, dark, quiet. There, everything changed. Christa attacked first, slashing Colleen with a box cutter. Colleen screamed, begged, pleaded. She promised to walk back to Florida barefoot if they'd let her live. But the attack escalated. Shipp helped restrain her. They beat her, tormented her, carved pentagrams into her skin. They mocked her, tortured her. For nearly an hour, Colleen suffered. Finally, Christa struck Colleen's skull repeatedly with a large piece of asphalt. In Colleen's final moments, Christa leaned close and asked, "Do you know who's doing this to you?" Colleen could only moan. Christa then took a fragment of Colleen's skull as a trophy. The 3 returned to campus around 10:15 p.m.
Peterson was let off with probation because she testified against Shipp and Pike. Both were convicted of murder, and Shipp got life in prison. As for Pike's punishment, Colleen Slemmer's mother, May Martinez, wanted the jury to set a date with death.
I would like to see her killed and not go on living with taxpayers' money paying for her to live in jail to get an education.
It is therefore ordered that you shall be put to death.
The tears flowed when Pike was sentenced to die. But just a few minutes after this display, she wrote Shipp a letter and was clearly walking the sociopath.
I miss you so much. You see what I got for trying to be nice to that hoe. I went ahead and bashed her brains out so that she'd die quickly instead of letting her bleed to death.
That statement was, I didn't let her suffer.
A groundskeeper found Colleen's body the next day. So damaged he wasn't sure at first if it was human. Police quickly linked the murder to Job Corps students. Witness statements poured in. 4 signed out. 3 returned. Christa had talked about killing Colleen. Christa showed the skull fragment to other students. Christa bragged about the murder, even dancing around a dorm room. Police searched Christa's belongings. They found the skull fragment in her jacket pocket. Later, in interrogation, Christa gave a 46-page confession. Calm, detailed, and chillingly emotionless. Shipp confessed too, though he downplayed his involvement. Peterson cooperated, becoming the state's witness. The case was airtight. If you're engaged with this story so far, consider subscribing to True Crime Briefing. We release deep dive cases weekly. And tell me in the comments, should 17-year-olds and 18-year-olds face the same legal consequences for violent crimes? Let's talk about it. In March 1996, Christa Pike went to trial. The courtroom was packed. Cameras were rolling in a rare televised trial program. The jury heard everything: her confession, witness testimonies, forensic evidence, the skull fragment clicking perfectly into place like a puzzle piece. But the defense failed to present critical mitigating evidence: her brain damage, her psychiatric disorders, her history of repeated rape and trauma. All of it existed. Almost none of it reached the jury. After a short deliberation, they convicted her of first-degree murder and conspiracy. During sentencing, a letter she had written from jail emerged, where she complained she was sentenced to death, despite trying to be nice by killing Colleen quickly. On March 30th, 1996, Christa Pike was sentenced to death. She was 20 years old. Shipp, only 17 at the time of the murder, could not face the death penalty. He was convicted of murder, but received life with parole eligibility, plus 25 years. He had his first parole hearing in 2025. He was denied. His next hearing is set for 2031. Shadola Peterson. Because she cooperated, she received 6 years probation. She never returned to prison afterward. Christa entered Tennessee's only women's death row in 1996. Because she was the only female death-sentenced prisoner in the state, she spent 23 hours a day in isolation for years. No job, no community, limited human contact. She decorated her cell with stuffed animals, photos, small personal items, symbols of a softer world she hadn't known much of. But isolation didn't erase her volatility. In 2001, she attempted to strangle another inmate with a bootlace. She later bragged about it in recorded calls with her mother. She was convicted of attempted first-degree murder and received an added 25 years. Years later, around 2011, she became involved in an escape plot involving a New Jersey man and a young corrections officer. The officer lost his job and faced charges. The man went to prison. Christa was never charged, but the attempt later hurt her appeals. Her legal team continued arguing. Brain damage, untreated mental illness, disproportionate sentencing, international human rights standards, and evolving research on 18 to 21-year-olds. But courts rejected each appeal. As years passed, Pike's case drew new attention. In 2022, Tennessee's Supreme Court ruled that automatic life sentences for juveniles were unconstitutional. Pike's lawyers argued this logic should extend to 18-year-olds, but the court disagreed. In 2024, her living conditions improved slightly due to a settlement. More movement, limited human interaction, the chance to work. But her legal situation worsened. Her appeals were exhausted. The only thing left was clemency. Women's rights groups, mental health advocates, international organizations, even the Inter-American Commission on Human Rights, all urged Tennessee's governor not to execute her. But standing firmly on the other side was Colleen Slemmer's mother, who had waited 3 decades for justice. She spoke at hearings, reminding the world of the brutality her daughter suffered. To her, nothing about Christa's past could excuse the hour-long torture of a child she loved. And for families like hers, time never heals. It only hardens. Now, almost 30 years after the murder, Christa Pike sits in the Deborah K. Johnson Rehabilitation Center in Nashville, 49 years old, waiting. Under Tennessee law, she has the choice: lethal injection, the default, or the electric chair, because her crime occurred before 1999. Only a handful of inmates have chosen electrocution in recent decades. Whether she will is unknown. If the execution proceeds, she will be only the 4th woman ever executed in Tennessee, and the 1st since 1820. When the date comes, she will be moved to Riverbend Maximum Security, where the state carries out all executions. And barring clemency, her story will end there. Before we close, let me ask you a final question. Do you think the justice system should reconsider how it treats emerging adults, those 18 to 21, based on brain development? Drop your thoughts below. And if you appreciate these deep, emotionally grounded dives into complex cases, hit subscribe for weekly true crime briefings. Christa Pike's story is tragic. Colleen Slemmer's story is heartbreaking. And together, they form one of the darkest chapters in Tennessee's criminal history. 2 young women entered Job Corps in 1994, each searching for a better future. One left in a coffin. The other will likely leave this world on a gurney. In the end, justice is never simple. It is a weight carried by everyone involved: families, courts, communities, and those of us who seek to understand why things like this happen. But we honor the victims when we remember their names. We honor truth when we examine every side. And we honor humanity when we never stop asking hard questions. Thank you for watching this episode of True Crime Briefing. If this story moved you, like, comment, share, and join me next time as we continue exploring the cases that shake our justice system to its core. Until then, stay safe, stay thoughtful, and take care of each other.